Hi everyone, welcome, and I'm Chris from Viral Gorilla, and at last, we have confirmation that the stars of The Last Jedi did not enjoy the decision-making process. John Boyega has stated that at least he calls it a bit iffy, where if you read between the lines, that's what he really can say, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he says in the future after all this is said and done, after he's out of this sort of Disney machine and doesn't have to bow down to them and sort of, play the nice guy on the press junket. But just as John Boyega has shared some of his true feelings about The Last Jedi, the actor is reprising his role as Finn in the Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, which hits theaters later this month, well, in about 10 days. Finn has been a huge part of this new trilogy, starting with the 2015 Force Awakens. Well, that's debatable because he was hardly in The Last Jedi. However, Boyega reveals that he was feeling iffy about some of the decisions that Rian Johnson made on Episode 8. The cast and director J.J. Abrams have been making the press rounds lately to promote the release of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, the last entry in the Star Wars Skywalker saga. Abrams also directed The Force Awakens, but passed the torch to Rian Johnson, who served as writer-director of The Last Jedi. Now, it was weird because J.J. Abrams was never meant to direct this last movie. He was The Force Awakens one and done, and they had to beg him back to basically clean up the mess that Rian Johnson has made. During a recent interview, John Boyega opened up a bit about his conflicting feelings regarding the second movie in the sequel trilogy. The Force Awakens, I think, was the solid beginning of, something quite solid. The Last Jedi, if I'm being honest, I'd say that was feeling a bit iffy for me. I didn't necessarily agree with a lot of the choices, and that's something I had spoke to Mark Hamill a lot about, and we had conversations about it. And it was hard for all of us because we were separated. So that's an interesting that he was having conversations with Mark Hamill about the creative directions, and we all know Mark Hamill was not happy about what happened to his character Luke Skywalker, that he put in a lifetime of playing that role to his most iconic character to date. And of course, Mark Hamill has shared similar thoughts over the last couple of years. While Hamill has praised director Rian Johnson as a filmmaker publicly, he has also expressed frustrations over the way Luke Skywalker was handled in the new trilogy. Hamill certainly isn't alone in that respect, as The Last Jedi to be proved rather diverse amongst the fan base, and here we are. Finn would wind up on a journey with Kelly meeting Trans Rose to find a code breaker on Canobite, blah, 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 blah. That's really, we don't really need to go over that. He goes on to say, I guess the original Star Wars films, there was much more of a trio feel, where it was essentially about Luke's journey, but Han and Leia were there as a strong dynamic, which I don't know how quickly we're going to be able to establish that long-term dynamic with 9, but if it's exploring that dynamic, then that would be cool. So the first 3 were all about sort of that trio feel when they rescue Princess Leia from the Death Star, and then all the way through they're sort of together. Empire Strikes Back, they get separated, but it's not as prominent as was in The Last Jedi. So, and then we have another article on Daisy Ridley talking about, of course, Daisy Ridley opens up. Ridley discusses Rey's relationship to Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. She explained JJ might disagree, but Rey was looking for a parent figure, and Luke just wasn't that for her. And that's what I found so upsetting about The Last Jedi, and why I felt like it was so emotional during doing it, because all she wanted is a family. Being an orphan coming from Jakku, all she was looking for was family and somewhere to belong. She compared Rey's relationship with Luke to her relationship with Leia in The Rise of Skywalker. So the Leia thing, even to have that sense of someone older and wiser who's helping you, is such a comforting feeling. I think watching it, you don't get that sense. And you clearly don't. It was more like, like a distant master, almost like a jiu-jitsu teacher you pay to go see every week. You have an hour lesson with, and then you go home. It's not the same relationship Yoda and Luke had, and I think that's what she was looking for. She elaborated, if people hold something incredibly dear and think they know how it should be and it's not like that, it's fair for people to think that we're doing wrong. It doesn't mean that they were ultimately the last Jedi director Rian Johnson, a filmmaker. One person can dictate how film's supposed to be, but freedom of expression, sure. So basically she's saying Rian Johnson messed up. He didn't do what people wanted. He decided to sort of like troll the fan base. So, and also like Ridley is not the first Last Jedi actor to express criticism of the film. As before I said, Mark Hamill famously disagreed with Johnson's vision of the film. According to Insider, Hamill was upset by Luke's willingness to get up. We all know that he said to Ryan on numerous occasions, Jedis don't give up. Even if Luke had a problem, he would make him take a year to regroup. If he made a mistake, he would try right and wrong, so right where we had fundamental differences. And this has been made like clear. There's heaps of times in interviews where it's been cited that he's had, differences with Rian Johnson, and they've sort of like joked it out and stuff like that. But I can't wait till after all this is said and done and we get to hear what exactly they thought about Rian Johnson's decision and how he messed up the trilogy. They should have just let J.J. Abrams direct all three. It would have been a cohesive story, 1, 2, 3. A little bit of George Lucas's input. Hell, even a little bit of Dave Filoni's input, as we're seeing The Mandalorian's getting rave reviews, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. Give them a movie. Let them do what they want to do, and we'll all enjoy it, So to make his work on the film easier for him, Mark Hamill pretended he was playing a different character. He said, I almost had to think of Luke as another character. Maybe he's Jake Skywalker. He's not my Luke Skywalker, but I had to do what Ryan wanted me to do because it serves the story well. And that's, as a good actor, you sort of have to listen to the director and do what they want. So, it's strange to finally hear. We know Mark Hamill's disdain with The Last Jedi and Rian Johnson's directorial decisions, but it's interesting to hear John Boyega and Daisy Ridley coming out and questioning some of the decisions that were made in The Last Jedi. But anyway, give me a like and a comment and tell me what you thought. Are you looking to The Rise of Skywalker? We're 10 days out. It's coming out next week. And we can all go and see it. And I guess it'll depend on how many times we go see it, if we like it or not. But, I'm not that hyped for it. I'm more hyped for the next episode of The Mandalorian than I am for The Rise of Skywalker. It's strange when you think I'm more hyped for a episode in a TV show than I am for the final movie in the Skywalker saga. But leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Subscribe to my channel and there'll be more content like this. Take it easy.